All right, welcome in Super Tuesday here with a absolutely loaded slate of college basketball games, even a couple of conference tournaments underway here. We've got you covered with 43 college hoop games on tap, and we are going to come up with a couple of best bets for you. You are absolutely going to want to hear about, and you'll do it and hear it from three of the best at WagerTalk.com here when it comes to college hoops. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, breaks it down quite like BP, Bryan Power in the house. Adam Trigger ready to roll, as is Steve Double R1L Merrill. You'll notice all of these guys seem to be repping a school, except for whatever, maybe that's just jail. Oh, there he is. Okay, so BP is absolutely repping as well. So we'll leave it up to you guys watching this as to which teams it is they might be leaning towards. It's always a great indicator on this show. Just watch what they're wearing. BP, we are going to kick it off with you here. Again, 43 college hoops games to choose from here tonight. The Big Ten, I'm a little shocked that you went with this game, given the fact that most people have heard of these teams. That's not usually your style, but we are going to be looking at Purdue on the road, taking on Illinois. Purdue's the higher rated team, but they are catching points in this one. So what are we doing?
Yeah, Joe, first of all, I like this sweatshirt. I didn't know that it made me look like I'm about
Yeah.
to throw hands in the yard or something like that.
Yes.
But no, man, this is a relaxing, so I'm not ready, try to avoid getting shanked or anything like that. Anyway, we'll try to avoid getting shanked with this Purdue Illinois breakdown. This is probably the most marquee game on the Tuesday slate. Two top teams in the Big Ten. Typically, Joe, you kind of alluded to this at the open. Backing the home favorite has been the way to go in these top 25 matchups this college basketball season, okay? This past Saturday, there were 5 such instances. You went 3-2 if you backed the home favorite. The trend is around 65% ATS this season. That being said, I am not sure that number 12 Illinois should be favored against number 3 Purdue. My power ratings say they should not be. And the big question I have with Illinois, and I think everyone has this same question, is the defensive end. Give them credit. They were great against Wisconsin over the weekend. They couldn't miss from 3. But you go back to the start of February, guys. The Illini have allowed 80 or more points in 7 of 8 games. That's not good. Torvik has them around 230th defensively. That's awful. And it's especially troubling if you're going against Purdue, Joe, who you may have heard is one of the best teams in the country, number 2 in offensive efficiency. I know there's been some hand-wringing about Purdue's schedule. It's been pretty weak by Big Ten standards. They're actually 1-5 ATS against the Big Ten teams who are likely to be in the big dance. But let's break it down a little further, okay? They're 16-3 straight up against teams in the top 2 quadrants of the net ratings. I've got them at 8-0 straight up against teams in power rated 25 or better. In case you're wondering, this is only the second time all season that Purdue is an underdog. The first time, that was back in mid-December against Arizona. That game was technically played at a neutral court. It was in Indianapolis, though. Purdue won that one 92-84 as a 2-point dog. Unless if Terrence Shannon Jr. goes off here, Joe, I see Purdue pulling the upset. Zach Edey, he can get to the line better than any player in the country. He averages the most free throw attempts per game of any player. I think the wrong team's favored. If you're looking at the total, good luck if you want to bet the under. Every Illinois game goes over these days. So it would be a slight lean to the over for the total, but I like Purdue to win this one outright on Tuesday.
Look at BP throwing hands here at 2 ridiculous trends this year. Here you've got a Big Ten home favorite. You've got 2 ranked teams, and the favorite has been always picking the favorite in those spots has been absolute money. But you're like, screw you, give me Purdue and the damn points, and possibly even an outright win here tonight. That is where BP is going, completely going the other way. And Trig, I got to tell you, this your game shocks me the least. As we are, of course, waiting for the wheels to fall off South Florida at some point in the game. And tonight might just be the night against Tulane. I believe South Florida home, but they're laying 7.5, which seems like a big number here against Tulane. Certainly feels like we might get some points, if nothing else. But how are you looking at this game tonight with South Florida, the Bulls?
Yeah, so the number's probably correct. Like, I don't think it's like the numbers off at all. I make the game right around 7 or 8. So the number's probably fine, but it's the sort of the spot and the way these two teams come into this game that makes Tulane an interesting side to me. So South Florida, without a doubt, is in a huge letdown spot. They get the
Mm.
blowout win of Charlotte over the weekend. They've now clinched the 1 seed in the American East. They've clinched the regular season title. They still need this game because I don't think they're safely in the NCAA tournament yet. Some of the scheduling, what Brian was just talking about with unbalanced scheduling, certainly applies to South Florida as they've played a very easy schedule within the confines of the American Athletic Conference, which plays an unbalanced schedule as well. So they still need to win this game, but I just think you're asking a lot for them to have to now come back off of that Charlotte win, not only win, but win by what we'll call 4 possessions. Now, Joe, Tulane has just been a letdown in general, right? They've just been a letdown all season. How is this team 4-12? That is out just mind blowing to me. I remember you and I did the Tulane preview before the
Mhm.
year. I wasn't like all in on this team by any means, but I would still argue that they have like top 5 talent for this league. Kevin Cross, Sion James, Jalen Forbes, like these guys. This team was probably projected to finish in the top 5. They're 4-12. How is that even possible? Like, I mean, that just is mind blowing to me. Ron Hunter's a decent coach. It's really shocking that they've lost as many games as they have. And so they fit the profile, Joe, of a team that I like to start to target right around this time of the year. It's a little bit of a new life theory, if you will, with teams that I really liked prior to the season. A team that I thought coming into the year could contend in their conference. They finished near the bottom of their conference. So I like to circle back and say, are they going to give it the old college try one more time, right? Like toward the end of the season and then into their conference tournament. Because as you know, the slate is wiped clean once you come to conference tournament time. Tulane's got the same chance as anyone else, really. They've just got to win and win their way in. And sometimes it serves as like, especially in these final couple of weeks of the season, as a little bit of a motivator. Like, hey, let's try to rally the troops and do this one more time. I think you saw it a little bit this weekend. Tulane fell behind to FAU. They didn't give up. They rallied back in that game to keep it close, and I believe they covered a pretty big number there. So why not the same thing here? I mean, South Florida's got 14 straight wins. They're deserving favorites, but again, I think you're talking about, a little bit. It's not so much the numbers inflated, but I think the spot and I think the role of the underdog here, Joe, is going to benefit Tulane in this game. You know, One thing Tulane's really struggled with is defense. And the Ron Hunter matchup zone has not matched up this year, right? Like they have been toward the bottom of the conference in many of the defensive metrics. South Florida comes into the season. They're the number 1 3-point shooting team in this conference. Maybe due for a little bit of variance or negative regression there, but it is March. They haven't regressed yet. But with that being said, you come into a game that you just came off of like the massive effort against Charlotte. If you're not fully focused and the threes and the looks aren't very good, that's where you start, if you start missing a couple threes, that's where Tulane could maybe hang around here. I think Tulane's just going to scrap. Like I said, if you talk about talent and you want to put the talent of South Florida next to the talent of Tulane, there's not a huge gap there in terms of like the caliber of player on both sides. It's really just been South Florida being able to find ways to win, find ways to like beat average teams, kind of get it done. But now you're asking them to get it done by 8 points or more. That's where I think there's some value on Tulane. So Tulane didn't make my client card, but it is a strong lean for me. I think they're going to give South Florida a game tonight, and I think they'll find a way to hang around and cover this number.
Yeah, and they've got, I mean, this is such a disappointing season for Tulane. You got to think this could be their game to end all here and kind of wipe the slate clean if they can get it done against South Florida. So 7.5 is what we're starting to see here tonight for that one. Should be a good one. And we do have a few best bets coming up here and a couple of big games you guys are going to want to hear about. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. You're joining us for the first time. Nobody's got more daily and weekly content on all the big games across the sports betting landscape like us here at WagerTalk TV. So join the family, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, those joining us here live today as we welcome in Double R1L, Steve Merrill, also repping an interesting team here. Wonder if they'll win another game this year. But, Merrill, you are going to go out west, and I believe the San Diego State Aztecs taking on UNLV here. What a game this is. Who'd have thunk it? UNLV and San Diego State battling. Place should be packed at the Thomas Mack Arena here tonight. What are you thinking with this one?
Going to look at a free play in the late night national TV game at 11 Eastern Tuesday night on CBS Sports Network between San Diego State and UNLV. And on the surface, this might look like a good home revenge spot for UNLV. They're decent 10-4 straight up at home. And our graphics producer, Eric, told me earlier today that it's going to be $2 beer night and the giveaway like 1,000, 5,000 towels or whatever it is. So it sounds like a raucous environment. So maybe we don't fade them in the first half. And by the way, UNLV is 9-1 straight up, 8-2 against the spread their last 10. But we are going to fade them full game here. The sharp money has come in on San Diego State, pushing this line from 1.5 up to 2.5 today on Tuesday. And I agree with that move. San Diego State is the better team at both ends of the court. They're comfortable playing slow down half court basketball, which UNLV's been doing a lot of this year, and they just do it better. And the first matchup shows that. We don't just blindly play revenge. We like to dig into the box score from the earlier meeting when these teams played on January 6th. San Diego State won by 11 at home, 72-61. They had a 10-point halftime lead. And yes, UNLV only shot 27% from three-point range, but San Diego State only shot 31%. In fact, UNLV made 3 more threes. They were +9 from beyond the arc, and they still lost by 11. That means they were -20 from two-point range in the free throw line. And San Diego State had a legitimate edge down low. They had a 30-12 free throw attempt edge, maybe a little bit of home court bias, but not an 18-point, a +18 attempt edge just because they're at home. And the other thing that's interesting as well is San Diego State had 17 turnovers in that game. Sloppy ball handling, still won by 11. They're the better team. It is a focus spot also because they had a lackluster, non-impressive win against a terrible San Jose State team last week, but they did not play this past weekend, so they've been off for a couple extra days. This is a focus spot on the road with the better team. And I'll also point out that all the recent losses for San Diego State on the road have been in altitude situations. In fact, they are 15-0 straight up in their last 20 games or so when you take out those altitude games. You have to go all the way back to early December when they lost at Grand Canyon. That might have been a virtual online game. I'd have to check. But they've been really good on the road otherwise. All their recent losses at Utah State, at Nevada, at Colorado State, even New Mexico has altitude. They're all altitude games. This is not. This is in the desert. So San Diego State is a really good team right now. They're a top 10 defensive team in the country efficiency. Lay the short number. And, oh, by the way, the Aztecs are perfect 5-0 straight up and against the spread the last 2.5 seasons against UNLV. They make it 6-0 tonight at 11 Eastern. And by the way, I do have 2 other strong best bets in college basketball tonight and a bonus free play as well on my page for Tuesday. Check that out, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. And while there, use promo code SM25 for an instant 25% all access discount. 2-for-1 special if you want just tonight. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
We do. They've been actually pretty good in Vegas as well. Back when this whole thing started in November, I think they took down St. Mary's. They took down Washington at the T-Mobile. They love Vegas, San Diego State. We'll see if that continues here tonight against UNLV. All right. Now we have 3 best bets that we want to drop for you here, and plenty of action on this slate here tonight. In addition to, of course, 4 of the mid-major tournaments already underway here tonight. Let's not forget the Big East. They still have a couple of teams that absolutely wish the season would end. One of them being Georgetown. The other is being Providence, and neither at this point have a lot to look forward to, except for you never know what happens, right? Anything is possible there, but It's a rebuild for Georgetown. Kim English at Providence has his hands full, some injuries, but they got to battle each other tonight, BP. 7.5 is what I'm seeing Georgetown getting. Tell the folks what you got locked loaded tonight at WagerTalk.com. And are you buying Providence or are you buying Georgetown in this one?
Joe, regular season winding down. We've done a lot of shows here on the College Basketball Tip-Off Show, obviously 2 o'clock Eastern every day, Wager Talk TV. Not sure how many people have come on and said, I like Georgetown, but I like Georgetown today, +7. Yes, I like Georgetown. I'll tell you in a why in just a little bit, but Joe, let me tell the people what I've got up for sale right now. We're off. Great start to the week. It was a 2-0 Monday sweep. Had the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA. Grizzlies were +9. They didn't need those 9 points at all. They won the game outright. In college basketball, as heard on Wager Talk yesterday, I had a no-sweat first-half winner with Portland State. They took a 17-point lead going into the break. It's been a great basketball season overall, guys. 58% in the NBA. I know we're talking about college, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I'm 14-6-1 last 21 NBA plays. College last week was not my finest hour, but I was like 20 games over 500 before last week hit. We had the nice winner last night. I've got 4 plays tonight, Joe. I'm about to give you one of them, Georgetown. You can get them for $29 right now at my page, wt.buzz/BP. And don't forget about that March Madness special either, as I was number 3 in college basketball last March. All right, Georgetown. Why would I take Georgetown? Well, Providence right now stinks. They're off back-to-back double-digit losses. Lost by 22 to Marquette, 11 at home to Villanova. Now, Georgetown's not in that same class. We all know that. But the Hoyas are going to be motivated for what is their final home game of the season. It's the Ed Cooley Bowl. Cooley facing his former team. He lost to him the first time around. But let's look at what that spread was in Providence. It closed Georgetown +10. They covered, losing by only 8. I look at this number. It seems like I'm getting a good value, Joe, because in the first meeting, Providence shot 57% for the game and got 29 points from Devin Carter. I don't think we're going to see that here tonight in the rematch. Providence, only 3 true road wins all season. 2 of them were by 4 points each. The other one was against DePaul, who is even worse than Georgetown. Georgetown's only 2 Big East wins are against DePaul this year. I know those games were close. I know Georgetown's not a very good basketball team, but I would not want to lay this many points with Providence on the road right now. They've got UConn on deck. And there's this notion we're going to start talking about over the next week or so. Teams on the bubble that must win. Well, if they're in this situation, guys, they're probably not that good to begin with, and you can't expect them to win. Do I think Providence wins this game? Probably, but I think Georgetown gives them a fight. The Hoyas are 2 for 2 ATS this season as a home dog in the +6.5 to +9 range. Give me the Hoyas plus the points. Best bet for the show. And if you want some conference tourney winners, check out the new edition of the Power 5. I've got, 5 of them for you on that show.
So that is absolutely disgusting on so many levels that you would come on as a best bet and give that garbage at Georgetown 7.5. Hope they win outright. I'm a little shocked between you and Trigg that nobody, threw out Oklahoma State tonight as a best bet. I'm just saying, I'm a little shocked that we haven't seen that. But Trigg, it's okay because I like your best bet here as well. But even though I can't get good old the Cowboys to get any love here, but you are going to look at one of the tournament games here, Loyola, I believe, taking on Navy. Now, how does it work in this tournament here? As far as home teams, away teams coming up, what do we need to know about this beautiful conference that you unfortunately know like the back of your hand?
Yeah, Joe. Well, you can see my lighting is all messed up now and the reason for that, Joe, is my lights died because I've just been banging out conference tournament previews one after the other. Steve Merrill and I just did the Coastal. That'll be up later in the week. But I am going to post my full Patriot League preview. It'll be the first of about 10 that I'm doing. I'm pretty much targeting the conferences where I've been to a lot of games. I've seen the teams play. BP and I are going to do the MAC, the MAC a little bit later this week or as soon as the field is set. But the Patriot League, which kicks off tonight, I'm going to post a full preview of all 10 teams, the full tournament to Wager Talk's YouTube channel, and I will also tweet the link to that out. So that's going to be in depth, in detail for this tournament. Now, what we're going to talk about today here is one of the first matchups of this tournament that goes tonight, and that's the Loyola Greyhounds and the Navy Midshipmen. Now, Joe, what the thing you need to know about this tournament, just off a high level, is we're playing at campus sites, which means every game is going to have a home team, and every game is going to have an away team. And so in this case, Navy is home. It's probably why they're as big a favorites as they are. Another reason they're a pretty big favorite is suddenly, after 8 straight losses, Navy's won 4 in a row. And also, Loyola is probably the worst team. Their worst team in this league. They're one of the worst teams in the country. If Dion Perry is out, they very well may be the worst team in the country. I do think he probably plays here. He didn't play over the weekend against Army, but I think he probably plays here. But I don't think that should deter you from liking Navy. And if he gets ruled out and you know he's out, then Navy minus 7.5 becomes that much stronger of a bet, in my opinion. Now, who's Dion Perry? He's Loyola's best scorer, but he's also kind of their only scorer. He's also one of the top sort of usage players and scorers in this entire league. I think Navy kind of had a good game plan for him most recently. So Perry absolutely torched Navy in the first meeting, 27 points. It was a game Loyola won on this floor. But in the return meeting down in Loyola, I know it was the game Perry got hurt in. So he only played 17 minutes, but through that 17 minutes, he was 3 for 11 from the field. I feel like, Navy's defense started to figure him out. I felt like going into that game, they were going to have a good game plan for him. And he did. And they did. And Navy ended up kind of cruising to a win. A big reason I liked Navy in that game and I like them here is because I feel like they figured out how to pressure Loyola. And that's one thing that Loyola does as much as any team in the country is turn the ball over. They turn it over at the highest rate of any Patriot League team. And I think this Navy team, from the sort of the unlucky 8-game losing streak that they had to now their 4 straight wins, has really ramped it up defensively. And I think that's gonna hurt Loyola here, similar to the way it did in the most recent meeting that Navy pulled away, and I believe they won by 7. Loyola is also a terrible defensive team. And if you look at conference-only offense on KenPom for Navy, they're up there in a couple of categories. Offensive rebounding, they're 1. Turnover percentage, I just said they don't really turn the ball. They'll force turnovers, but they don't really turn it over themselves, which is, encouraging. So they're and you look at their adjusted offense, Navy, it's down in the 300s, but I think you have to take into consideration that they really have improved over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they're coming in to the conference tournament with that confidence, the improvements that they made, and they're just playing better basketball right now. Austin Benmini is one of the better players in this conference. He's really turned it up for Navy. Joe, not only do I like Navy to cover here, to win here, and I think they cover, I would consider 90-1 as an option on them in this tournament. Remember, if they get through this game, they only have to win 3 more games. Every team is priced completely out of whack because the assumption is Colgate's going to win again this year. But Colgate is down from what they've been in the past few years. And Navy would have a game with Boston University where, like, BU's been playing awesome, but they were the 6 like 3 weeks ago and kind of went on a run to get to the 2. That's how little like kind of separates the teams other than Colgate in this league. So I wouldn't be that surprised if Navy made a little bit of a run. And I think it probably starts here with a win and cover over a terrible Loyola team. So Navy minus 7.5, best bet for the show. And I've got 2 client plays up right now, both 4%. I've packaged them together, and that's the action I currently have up at WagerTalk, wt.buzz./AT for tonight.
Treg, the kid for Loyola, who's also pretty, was it Perry? He was the one that got hurt. So are there rumors that he may go in this one? Because I think he got hurt against Navy the last time they played, but he's the best player by far. And if they don't have him, I mean, this could be a bloodbath.
Yeah, like I think he's going to play. It's part of the reason I guess this isn't like a client play for me. I think he gives it a go. So it was an ankle injury against Navy. There was rumor that he may play over the weekend against Army, but like again,
Mm.
there was no real reason to have him play this weekend. Like it wasn't that meaningful of a game. So I do think he tries to give it a go. I think if he does play, like it's ankle injuries are really nagging. So it's like
Oof.
if he wasn't 100% to play over the weekend, he's probably not 100%. And you got to understand within like Loyola's offense, adjusted offense, they're 344 out of 362 teams. He really is
Mm.
like creating a lot on his own. And I think you have
Yep.
to take that into consideration when you're talking about a guy with an ankle injury. How effective is he going to be out there, right? Like, is he just going to be out there because they need him? Or is he going to be able to be his usual effectiveness? Because when he's healthy, he's one of the highest usage players in the league. I'd be willing
Yep.
to fade that. And if he gets ruled out, I think some of
Jumps.
that's baked into the line. I think they could go off probably 8.5 if he gets ruled out. So I keep an eye on that, but I don't think it's going to affect Navy from winning this game.
All right, and maybe it is. And shout out to BP who gave a couple of thumbs up to the Loyola band. Apparently, says they have a great band there. That which is something. What is that, BP? What's that?
Things are so dire at Loyola, Maryland, Joe, that they don't have their own band, and they actually have to pay local high schools to show up and play at their home games. I was told that by Loyola, Maryland graduates and my good friend and yours, Mr. Marks.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that this is the kind of information, this cutting edge info you will get absolutely no place else other than here on the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. BP just bringing it along with his disgusting Georgetown best bet. Double R1L, Steve Merrill in the house, ready to roll. Don't you point at me. I'll tell Maryland's band there, Loyola's. Merrill, you are going to go to the ACC for a best bet. This is a strange game. I kind of thought Trigg might be leaning towards this one, but he went Navy instead. So break the game down for us, Clemson, Syracuse, and tell us what you got rolling tonight here at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, Adam went Navy, which is a color. I'm going to talk about a game which the orange team will win, but I'll tell you which orange team in a moment between Syracuse and Clemson. By the way, I have a free bonus game. I'm using a different free play on my page today. It's Duquesne VCU, so check that out. Bonus free play on college hoops. And I also have 2 strong college basketball best bets tonight for my clients on Tuesday. We cashed in the NBA last night on Monday with the Lakers. I'm coming back now with 2 college plays for Tuesday. Each are 25 or made a 2-for-1 special. 2 for Tuesday, just 29. It's basically like a buy one, get one tonight. And don't forget the college basketball rest of season special is still available the next 35 days and nights through the championship game on April 8th for just over $4 a day. No promo code needed. So you can get the 2-for-1 special tonight or get the rest of the season for just $4 a day. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. All right, let's look at this ACC national TV game at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2 Tuesday night. And I do like the home team wearing orange, and that's the Clemson Tigers. They'll probably be in white, but you get the point. We talk about revenge, second meetings a lot. Clemson won the first game, and they're going to win this game again. I love digging into the box scores, and I really like what I saw a few weeks ago from Clemson in this game on February 10th. They won the game 77-68. They had a 13-point halftime lead, held on to win by 9 up at Syracuse, a very difficult place to travel and play. But digging into the box score further, you would say, well, Clemson was 43%, Syracuse only 30% from three-point range, but that wasn't the difference. Syracuse actually made an extra three-pointer, 7-6. So they got outscored elsewhere, and where it was from two-point range. Clemson outshot Syracuse 68 to 42% from two-point range. That is the kind of dominance I think will continue tonight, and that is why they will win this game by double digits. In fact, they had a 26-18 edge down low. That's plus 16 points in that game earlier last month. And Clemson had 21 turnovers on the road to only 8, and they still won by 9. That's because they were dominating down low, and that turnover margin was very surprising because on the season, Clemson has averaged just 10 turnovers a game, home and away. In fact, if you look at the games on each side of that, Clemson had 4 turnovers and 5 turnovers the 2 games before the 21 and only 8 the next game. And Syracuse is not a pressure team. They forced 11 turnovers or less in 3 of their last 6 games since that game up in Syracuse. So it was a bizarre, misleading result. It should have been more than a 9-point win, and we get the value tonight with Clemson. I also like the fact it's their last home game of the season. And, oh, by the way, they're coming off a bad loss at Notre Dame. But don't worry, they were 5 for 28, 18% from three-point range in that game. That's the reason they lost. They shoot better at home tonight. This is a good sweep situation. Clemson minus 9.5 at 7 Eastern on ESPN2.
Oh, I love it. All right. Taking Clemson to get it done here against Q's tonight. And don't forget about our friends over at goldsheet.com. They too have a best bet they're focusing on here tonight. And it's going to involve, how about New Hampshire and Vermont, with New Hampshire getting 9 points here tonight. Now, Vermont was a 10-point home favorite in this matchup 3 weeks ago, and I believe now they're laying 9 on the road. Listen, Vermont has nothing to play for. They've already locked in the number 1 seed in their tournament, so not a whole lot of motivation in this game. And don't forget that 2 of Vermont's top players sat against UMass Lowell on Saturday with injuries. In all likelihood, they're not playing again here tonight. So 9 is a ridiculous number. And it's a good opportunity for you to hop on board. It's also a great opportunity for you to check out goldsheet.com. Write-ups like this across the board on all the top games in college basketball, NBA. Really, take a second, guys, and visit our friends over at goldsheet.com. All right, hold your nose, because I'm going to throw some disgustingness your way in a recap here. As Trig is going Navy, late at 7.5. Mostly because Loyola's band is a bunch of high school kids who were suspended. BP is going in the most disgusting of ways. Georgetown, 7.5 over disgusting Providence. It is ugly, but take them damn points there. Georgetown, the Hoyas getting it done here tonight. Our friends at the Gold Sheet, New Hampshire, and of course, Merrill told you, Clemson to sweep the season series here and handle business against Q's. Can't believe one of you guys gave Oklahoma State any love, but screw you both. We do appreciate the time here, guys. Honestly, I mean, the whole damn panel wore some shade of green. That's not going to help here at all, but they are all invested and they are all locked and loaded over at their pages at WagerTalk.com. Now would be the time to check it out. In fact, that CAA tournament is coming up. Trig and Steve Merrill have a great video about how to look at that and how to break it down and make some money in some of these conference tournaments, guys. So that's why it pays to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and make plans to come back and join us here for more college basketball. The madness has begun, and on behalf of these 3 guys, we certainly appreciate it. Best of luck with your plays here tonight. And don't forget, if it is big games you want to know, previews and other best bets, just click on that video on your screen right now and get access to all the big previews coming up across college basketball. Until tomorrow, best of luck, guys. We'll see you again soon.